So, something that I've been wanting to explain and very clearly, and something I'm wondering about a change in terminology, is that many people say that autism is an autism spectrum disorder, or that people are on the spectrum, or stuff like that. Well, first of all, autism, technically, there is like a kind of a spectrum, but not really. Well, first of all, we're not on the spectrum. We're all just autistic because it's everything we are, and we can't just separate ourselves out. And it's also clunky wording that kind of distracts us from the main meaning and stuff, and makes it seem like something, and just not taking pride in everything. But beyond that, a spectrum, for most people, makes people think of a linear thing. You're either more or less. But autism has so many different components. And to give you an example, there's sensory processing difficulties. Sensory processing disorder. Some people are hypo, or hypo meaning less sensitive, and hyper meaning more sensitive. But people can be that for touch, people can be that for sound, people can be that for taste, smell, people can be for different combinations, for visual stimuli, and then you can split up the visual stimuli, so you can have motion, you can have faces, you can have colors. For sound, you can have complexity of sound, which is like how many different types of noises are going on. You can have the loudness of sound, the pitch of the sound being overwhelming. For touch, you can have heat, cold, texture, and stuff like that. And it can vary from time to time. Smells too, and then you can have people that are very particular, one that really bothers them, or it's a combination, but they're less sensitive. Then we have another big part of autism is stimming, which is self-stimulation. Get your mind out of the gutter if it's in the gutter right now. But self-stimulation, there can be many types. You can be self-stimulate with tapping or tapping stuff, with tactile sensations, with movements. You can stimulate yourself with sounds, even tastes, visual ones where you just stare at something and see the different colors and stuff like that. And people can have more or less of one type of it, or a combination. And people can also have ones that are more pronounced, seen by other people, or less seen by other people. Then you have beyond having different types of stems with it, and also these things can become more extreme or less extreme during different parts of your life, depending on stress, how much you're hiding them, how much yourself, how much you're thinking. So much things can go into all these factors, and they'll keep going. Then another one is part of being autistic is not understanding like normal social cues or stuff like that, which can be certain social cues you might be able to pick up better on than other ones. Maybe someone can read facial expressions as well, but they can read overall body language. Maybe it's tone they can't read as well. All million different things that with all these cues, that social cues. Maybe it's just like rules or something of like things, or like they can't switch tones very well. Maybe they can't the tonal experience themselves well, or maybe they deal in different ways. Like some autistics use their voice a lot more than a normal person, some people a lot less, and they're both seen as different ways. Then there's like special interests. Special interests can be so many different things, but just something really into, and some people have lifelong. Sometimes they last only a couple days. Some people have one special interest, some people have multiple ones. The intensity can be very different. Then people can have like different relationships with people that are different autistic. Then you can have people can get overwhelmed to different extents, and it can take a different amount of time to recover from being overwhelmed, and so on and so on. Some people ones are more or less compromised in different ways. So it's not a linear spectrum, and this is what I don't like about it. So I posted this a long time ago, saying how it's not a linear spectrum, and how that kind of bothers me that we paint it as this weird linear spectrum that it's not. So one of my friends said on a post that something similar where people talk about gender and sexuality, and I haven't seen the term that she used that much. But the idea was that some people, instead of saying a gender spectrum because it's too linear, or the sexuality spectrum, they talk about the planet, the gender planet and the sexuality planet, and that because it's something like again like this, where there isn't really a definition of a woman that's you're less or more of a woman. There's all types of different women out there, and they're all equally women. The same as with men. The same as with non-binary folks, and more, gender fluid and stuff. And I really like this term, and I have had multiple queer friends say that would be okay term to do it, but I don't know how to promote. I still feel a little uneasy, so I would like hear feedback back, and I would also like maybe multiple people, and I feel I'm not most adventurous at promoting stuff like this, but maybe it's better to say the autism planet instead of spectrum, because there's so many different types of autistic people. But I also saw people thinking more about us as a diverse group of folks with all sorts of different needs. Because oftentimes people do not understand that different autistic people have different needs and also different talents and stuff, and are not all the same. But this extends to even stuff outside just autism. There's certainly like people tend to think of us as white cis males to look at TV. People tend to think about us being physically disabled in one way, eating certain types of food, coming from certain cultures, when we're from all over the place. Well, thank you for listening very much. Please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers in a year and 4,000 watch hours, which is really hard, but with your help, I think I can do it. And also, if you have any ideas for future videos, comments, or suggestions, please leave them in the comment section below. Thank you very much again. Goodbye.